Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to greet you in the Islamic manner. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Almighty Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon all of you. Beginning by praising Almighty Allah and sending countless blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ladies and gentlemen, today I've chosen a small topic because just for 5 minutes, I will not take your more precious time because I know everybody is ready to leave. Just to talk about the importance of the month which is in progress, the Muharramul Haram. When we talk about this month, you got to go back to the Quran. You have to see one of the verses that talks about inna iddata indallahi inna iddata shuhuri indallahi isna wa ashra. Actually, the count of the months from Almighty Allah is just 12. Wa arba'atun hurmun, and out of the 12, 4 are pious. They are the greatest of them all. And what are these 4? The Prophet Muhammad mentioned in the hadith, Thalathatun mutawatirun. 3 of them are back to back. It is Zil Qada, Zil Hijjah, and Muharramul Haram. And the 4th one, it's in the middle, that is Mahi Rajabul Murajjab. Now you see Muharram comes there, one of the months that's quite precious. We got to understand what is actually the precious thing in it. The first thing that I talk about, when Prophet Muhammad talked about this month, he says, Shahrullah, this month belongs to Almighty Allah. He says in one of the hadiths, Afzalu siyamu ba'da Ramadan, Shahrullahi Muharram. If there is any fasting that is better after the month of fasting, it is the fasting of the month of Muharram. And as we all know, we fast 9 and 10 or 10 or 11. And we have the history back there. We talk about the migration of the Prophet Muhammad when he when he went to Medina from Mecca, and he found their Jews fasting, and the Prophet inquired about the matter, why they are fasting, because fasting is an act of worship for the Muslims, why they fast. And somebody told the Prophet Muhammad they fast because on this day, on the 10th of Muharram, Moses was saved by Almighty Allah from the Pharaoh. And we remember the verse from Surah Baqarah, where it says, وَأَغْرَقْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ. When Moses was in between 2 dangers, in front of it there was the sea, and at the back of him there was the Pharaoh. He was completely between 2 dangers. He can't go further, he can't retreat. So then Almighty Allah ordered him that you strike with your stick to the that sea, and it opened up in the form of a road, and Musa passes and Pharaoh drowns and his army drowns. So it was the same day, the 10th of Muharram. That's why the Jews fast, because Moses is their prophet. The Prophet Muhammad says, Musa is my brother in the prophethood, so I've got more rights to him. So if I'm going to be alive next year, I'm going to fast 9 or 10. 9 or 10, can you imagine? Even the scholars say that you can fast 10 or 11. You just have to do the Khalif al-Yahud. You have to go against the Jews. And what's the reward? The first thing is that this is the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. On the same day that Moses fasted, he fasted out of thankfulness to Almighty Allah. The reward, when you talk about the reward, the Prophet Muhammad guaranteed, if you fast 9 or 10, 10 or 11, this is going to forgive you all the sins of the past year. My dear friends, don't think these months, they are very, cheap. In the sight of Almighty Allah, he talks about arba'atun hurmun. The scholars have translated that hurmun here means if you do a sin, the burden of the sin would be heavier. For example, if you do a small sin, it'll be written as a big sin. And if you do a small good deed, it'll be written as a big good deed. For every single good deed you do in these months, Almighty Allah is going to multiply the rewards. So we should always, Almighty Allah talks about this in the Quran, وَلَا يَظْلِمُ فِيهِنَّ. Don't transgress, don't oppress the people in these months. Why? Because if you transgress, Almighty Allah is going to increase the burden of these sins. So these, precious days, the Muharram is, it's the first month of the Islamic calendar. We all know this, and we all know that about the importances. Fasting is there. Now the 10th and 11th is over, 9 and 10th is over. Doesn't mean that your good deeds stop, because the month is still in progress. You got to keep one thing in the mind. Don't fight. Don't betray people. Don't hurt people, because the burden of the sin is going to be heavier. in fact, try to do the good deeds, even if it's a small good deed. Even if you just move a small pebble from the road, keeping an intention that somebody might come and hit it and might get hurt. So you keep it on the side. Your intention is that everybody might pass quite confidently. You get rewards, and rewards are multiplied here. So I believe the message is quite clear. I'm taking your much time. Thank you till we meet again, inshallah, with the next speech.